Doing an early Oregon-Iowa peekaboo here. And
I love a good game of peekaboo.
I do too.
Who doesn't?
I mean,
little guys really into peekaboo right now.
All little kids love peekaboo.
We're about an hour a day is peekaboo. It's about an hour of our afternoon.
Just constant.
Peekaboo, 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 peekaboo.
It's funny when they start doing it to you as
Yes.
if you feel the same way about it as they do.
Oh, that was a scary one, buddy. Good job.
You said something interesting. We get the first playoff rankings tonight. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure everybody's going to be level-headed and have no grandiose takeaways after just the first week of the rankings.
I will yell at my television. I can't wait.
And Swag should be pretty disappointed with something.
Oh.
He hasn't mentioned it to you and I yet. I'm kind of shocked he hasn't. And no, it has nothing to do with him not wanting to watch his team in a Game 7 of the World Series to repeat. It has something else. It's about something else.
Dirty little tease.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. I think I disagree with you. I mean, I certainly understand, like, when we watch these games, this is where previewing versus reacting. I just always rather react to what you see. But
sure, nobody has any clue how it's going to play out or what their game plan is going to be.
So I kept thinking of Indiana and the Wisconsin game with Oregon because you say you don't want to get caught playing their game. So I went and looked up because I know how Iowa likes to play, right? Like, they're not the most explosive offense. Their passing attack is being kind of complimented as if it's way better. It statistically really isn't. We know what they want to do. And I looked at time of possession just out of curiosity. Iowa is 22 tenths of a second possessing the ball longer than Oregon currently is per game.
Look at that stat.
And the only reason I bring that up is I certainly understand what you're saying, and I know Oregon is very capable. If Oregon come out and throw to DeCorian Moore in the first possession on a long bomb in 2 plays, like, we're not going to be shocked, right? Sadiq on a 30-yard hit. That's not going to shock us. But I go back to Wisconsin, and I know weather is a big part of that one, but I also go back to Indiana, and I think they're very similar here. I think what Dan Lanning has built and what he has talked about a little bit is they don't have to play one style of football. No. You can put them in any situation against any kind of team, and the way they're built is if they play what we would describe as the kind of football Iowa wants to play. Dan Lanning just did that against Wisconsin. Everybody, why didn't you beat them by more? He was like, it wasn't going to be that kind of game. So what did they do? They flexed out. Indiana, it wasn't like it was the highest scoring game ever.
No.
He kicked a field goal in a spot he usually goes for it. Why? He valued points and relying on his defense. Now, it didn't work out for him, but he understands games are going to be played certain ways. So I think that's my only pushback is I don't think there's a style of football you don't want to play. I think Dan Lanning is comfortable playing any kind, whether that's a Northwestern game, an Indiana game, or a Wisconsin game. If Iowa comes out and runs the ball for 7 minutes, I think he's totally cool doing the same thing and saying if it's 6-6 at the half, it is what it is style-wise.
Yeah, I find it interesting I think other games are hard to compare to this one because the Wisconsin game was such a bad, limited possessions was not the issue against Wisconsin. They had a ton of possessions because Wisconsin's offense is the worst in the country. And so there was never really a fear that they were going to score or possess the ball for a considerable amount of time.
Agreed.
The game that I would more point to is the Northwestern game. If you go back to the Northwestern game, I believe it was 17-0 at the half. But it was 10-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first half when Oregon got their last possession of the first half. And everybody said, man, what's wrong with the Oregon offense? Why isn't the week before against Oklahoma State, they scored, 69. They 69 a Cowboy. That was great. But in reality, it was because they only had 4 possessions the entire first half. They punted on their opening drive. Then they scored a touchdown. Then they scored a field goal. Then they scored a touchdown. But it was only 17-0. And on the box score, it didn't look great, but they scored on 3 of their 4 drives. What Northwestern was able to do was possess the ball for a long time, and they'd kind of move it into Oregon territory, and then they'd stumble, kick, throw a pick or miss a field goal or take a bad sack or fumble or get a stop on 4th down, and they weren't able to capitalize on it. I just think in games like this, I think in the second half, Dan Lanning does pride himself on the ability to do different things in different ways. If we have a lead, we'll go on a 9-minute touchdown drive if we need to. I don't like using the Wisconsin game again as an example because at that point it was pouring down rain and wind was blowing 30 miles an hour, and that was really the only way that they could score of just we're going to have to methodically go down the field because we don't have the ability to create a big play going into this win, and we're not going to throw the football downfield.
Yeah.
I just think when you're playing a team like Iowa, when you have a limited possession game, it adds to more variance that is out of your control. Let's ask this question going in. What percentage of Oregon drives in the game do you trust that they're going to score on?
Ooh, that's a great question.
And that then leads to, okay, is that 50% of their drives? Is it 40? Is it 60? Depending on the answer.
If the stats are right, then yeah, it's probably in that 50 to 40-something%.
What if you only have 3 drives in the first half?
Yeah.
And Iowa finds a way to break a big play with Gronowski making a run. You scored on one of your 3 drives. It was impressive, but the other 2 times you had to punt. Now you're in a 7-7 game. Yeah. Look, of course, the easy thing to say is, of course, the defense wants to get off the field every time they're on the field. Like, right. Thanks, Tips. I know that's kind of what I'm pointing out. I just think that they would love to say, I think when you have better athletes on the field, which Oregon, in my opinion, unquestionably has. Iowa's very strong in certain areas, but I think they have more speed and more skill at certain spots of just like, we want to give these guys as many chances as possible to score.
Sure.
And the more possessions we get, if we're scoring on 50% of our possessions and we only touch it 4 times, that's either 10 or 14 points at the half, and Iowa might be right in the game.
I hear what you're saying. I don't even know if we're saying anything really different overall. Like, yeah, you want as many possessions as possible, right? But, like, I also think if you are stuck in that, and sure, there's a wild card factor to it where you have limited possessions. I mean, we can play hypothetical both ways, whether it's good or bad for Oregon. I just think if they're in that game, there's nothing about them or the coaching staff. I don't know if they win. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing about the coaching staff and the way they've built the program under Lanning that would lead me to go, well, they're playing so-and-so style of game. I think they just built enough talent where they can be any style of game. It's kind of what
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
When you get to the talent level that you're talking about, and you're right, like
they can play in different styles for sure.
They can play in the back and force, or they can play in the physical rough you up, all limited possessions thing. And if you win that, then okay. But if you don't, well, it goes to your point on the variance of limited possessions. But I just don't think they're going in saying we have to avoid this style. I think they're examining the tape. He was fair. Complimentary of the defense, and he's like, if they get stuck in the 6-6 halftime game, I don't think that coaching staff's going in and going, whoa, we're playing their style.
No.
I think they'll expect it and go, okay, this is what this game kind of felt like going in.
We knew we were going to be in a dogfight. We're in a dogfight. I guess the better way to say it was, I think Iowa can only win the game if it's in their style.
If they drag it down
If this is a low-scoring 10-10 game going into the late third quarter and you're like, man, Oregon's only touched the ball 5 times at this point because Iowa keeps having 8-minute drives and then either kicking a field goal or doing whatever they're doing at the end of it. I think that's more of what I'm trying to say. Can you dictate the style that Iowa can't play? Can you come out and have fast tempo, use a no-huddle blur offense early, rattle them a little bit and say, hey, we got a lead, and now you got to you can't go on an 8-minute drive because you're down by 14 in the third quarter.
Sure.
You don't have that many possessions left because now we can turn the clock back and go on a 7 or 8-minute drive, and we have the ability to do both. You don't have the ability to do both.
Okay, I hear what you're saying there, because if you get Iowa that's down 13,
you're
going to feel like, oh my God, this feels like 20 because
they're
going to be in a hurry.
If this is a 17-3 game at the halftime, are we all saying it's over? Right? Like, is Iowa going to erase it's not a guarantee, but the chances are greatly in your favor. Iowa wants this game to be 10-10, 13-10, 7-6. That's what they want at halftime.
That's the ideal.
And don't allow them to do that. But that's easier said than done because you're playing one of the best defenses that you'll face all year. I would say on the other side of it, I know Oregon is going to focus on it clearly. Dude, I don't even know if I would play with a safety on the opening drive of the game. I give me 7 linebackers on the field and say, you know what? We got young corners. If you beat us, you beat us. Man on man, you're on an island. If you beat us deep, you beat us deep. We're not going to let you run the football. Easier said than done, but that would be my thought going in.
Is it a Danielson game? Who's calling the game?
This would be a Nestler and Danielson, yeah.
It'd be so funny to hear him go, I don't think they got a safety. There's no safety.
Where's Thieneman? He's playing defensive end right now.